brake pads in question are these here. These are Hawk Performance brake pads. I'm really excited because like these are supposed to be really good, and even though they're pretty much still in their packaging, like just looking at them, look like some meaty, beefy brakes, man. I mean, look at that. That's some intense stuff right there. And I think it comes with their own brake shims, so like life is gonna be good. Shut up, cell phone. And those are rears, obviously. These should be fronts. Like I said, oh my gosh, this is much heavier. These are some big beefy brake pads. So that's pretty much everything in the box too. Grease for the fronts. This box doesn't have grease. Oh, it does have some grease in there, and it comes with 2 stickers. Yes. Now you may be asking, Nick, as much as you like EBC, why are you changing brands? Well, I have no complaints about EBC at all. I love them. They're great. I've used them for over 10,000 miles on Mitsubishi, and they're fantastic brakes. There's only one problem with them. That brake dust, though. Just to compare, this is the front with the really epic Yellowstuff EBC pads with their USR rotors. These things have amazing stopping power. I love them to death, but you can clearly tell the difference between where my shoe just was and the wheel, and that's just on the cleaner part. That's what they're supposed to look like. Okay, there's a bit of a hefty difference between those two. So with that said, we want to focus on getting less brake dust, but with the same amount of performance. And in my homework that I was doing, I found that Hawk's Performance was a good option. So we're going to give them a shot. We're going to install them. You guys already saw the unboxing. Now we're going to show you how to put them in there and break them in and see what I think of them. Let's do this. Now just by opening this up, you can already tell this is a much more substantial brake pad than I was expecting. I mean, this is huge. Look at the size of that. But then again, because these are Brembo brakes on this car, something of this size is needed because the pistons, there's that many pistons in there to push this pad up against the rotor to make it stop. I'm excited. These feel really nice. It's supposed to be a ceramic, is that right? Yep, performance ceramic. So we'll see how these go. I'm told that ceramics usually don't have as much dust, so I'm hoping that is what the case is, because pretty soon we will get wheels and tires for this car, and we want to make sure that those wheels and tires stay pretty and clean. Not like this, not like that at all. And just to show you what the rear looks like, these little brake nuggets are the rears. So I'm excited for these though. Like, I've been hyped about Hawk Performance brakes for a while, so I'm hoping that these really do pay out in stoves, just like the other ones way over there on my silver car, those EBCs. I really hope that these either match or outperform, because obviously this being a performance car, you want it to do better than what everyone else has got. So yeah, I'm hoping that these brakes really will help fulfill the stopping power that we need without all the noise, because that's what our biggest issue has been. Alright, so yesterday unfortunately it rained and I had some other things that were going on. As you guys saw, we took Ishmael out for his birthday. So with that said, we have come back to the Evo today and we got an issue. Rotors are a little rusty right now. Now if you're like me, you don't want to replace your rotors because, well, these are really good rotors. You have a couple options for yourself. Number one, get new rotors. Number two is get some sandpaper and sand that joker off and use some water to make sure you get all the particles off. Or three, like what I'm going to do, drive the car, get it moving, and use the brakes to actually clean off that stuff, and then come back later to then kind of just wipe off any other residue or brake residue that could be on the car and the rotors themselves. Our rotors are pretty clean as far as brake residue goes, so we won't have to really sand much off. It's kind of a as needed thing. And once that is done, that's when we can begin taking these rotors and pulling off all of the brake components and the wheel components, so we can then change out the brake pads. Who came to help us out today?
Hey, what's up?
Hey!
Getting the hands dirty today.
Oh yeah, he's doing the brakes. We just did the front side just to learn how that shenanigans work. And now we're moving to the light side, the easy side, because there's no traffic and we have the sun, so we can actually see something. Yay. Alright, let's get this wheel off. Hey yo Bill.
What's up?
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
Millimeters to be exact. Been a long time for both of us.
That's when you need the Led Zeppelin song. Been a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing this side. We're filming the passenger side just because the other side is towards the street, and I don't have a very safe area to film with. So we're doing it this way because it's safer, and also the lights are on this side of the car now, so we can actually see things. We can coming up.
All right.
Let's go. Hey, I'll do the honors.
You want to do the honors?
I got the
All right. I guess at this point it doesn't really matter. My hands are already black. Do you even lift, bro?
Do I even lift? No, not at all. So we're just cleaning off the caliper a little bit because this is really the only good time to do this. Just to try and clean them up, make them look better. Also get rid of any dust that could be covering up some components.
So Nick's currently hammering off the caliper.
It's hammer time, bro.
This rotor here has got just a little lip, and it's just holding on to that caliper.
This happens.
Just barely.
This happens as a result of actual pad wear taking off some of the rotor. That's normal. But because we don't want to spend the $1,000 to get brand new rotors from Brembo all the way around, I'm going to keep these ones because they're still in really good shape.
Yeah.
I showed Bill earlier, there's pretty much no scoring. Like, it's visual, but there's really no actual scoring that you can feel. Like, this is nanometers in depth, so I'm not worried about this. This will last me until I can finally afford to get like Project new rotors and stuff like that. So
Get the old cross slotted the good stuff.
I'm still debating on what rotors.
Oh yeah, you can see it's smooth.
It's pretty much smooth. I mean, you can't get better than that for a 14-year-old rotor. That's really good shape. I'm just like, seriously, here. Catch it from underneath.
Tag in.
Oh, that would hurt. Oh, I'm sorry.
There it goes. It's going.
It's gonna send it. Yeah, look at that, dude. It was upside. So I was wondering why they were squealing. The brakes were installed upside down.
We're gonna compress these first.
Yeah.
Well, put this back on, compress it, and then we'll put the new pads in.
So
those aren't the new pads.
Yeah. Normally, you could just take a compression tool and shove these jokers together, and it'll do the job. They don't really work well with this setup, so we are going to have to improvise and use a technique I found in another video that I'll leave in the description because it was genius, where he basically took a screwdriver or some kind of pry bar type setup using the old brake pad as leverage to push both of them in there and make sure that it's exactly in there. But that's towards like the end. Otherwise, I'm going to use this up against the rotor to then put everything back together. So normally when I would do a review, I would be in the car I'm reviewing, but unfortunately it's raining and I need to put oil in the Evo because it's burned through some of it. That said, we're inside Mitsubishi right now, and this is actually a good place to do a review for the other car, because this particular car has EBC Yellowstuff pads and rotors on it. The other car, the Evo, has the very nice Brembo calipers and rotors and the new Hawk Performance ceramic brake pads that are in there right now. So it's kind of a fair exchange because I've got nice high performance brake pads on this car and I've got nice high performance brake pads on the Evo as well. And I gotta say out the gate that I like the Hawk Performance even better than the EBCs. The EBC Yellowstuff are incredibly good brake pads for the price. I gotta put it like that because it's true. These brake pads are, I believe I got them with the rotors for about $300 for the front. And that's pretty good pricing, because when you compare that to what I got with the Hawk Performance ones, it cost me $300 to get all the pads all the way around. So it's, you know, in the end, yeah, the Hawk Performance are far more expensive and beefier, but there is a difference. You can feel the difference because the Hawk Performance, it's a gentler braking curve, but you can still stomp on those brakes real nice and hard and come to a stop real nice and quick. Having fresh brake pads all the way around too really makes a difference. I do know that I need to choke up on the e-brake because for some reason it's still a little bit of slack to it. I think it's just because the wire's loose. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. But I will say that the procedure to change the brake pads in the rears is the same as the front. There's nothing different. It's just instead of having two pistons on one side, it's just one piston, a single piston, which is kind of funny because when I thought about it, I realized that the rear brake on the Evo is the same size brake, more or less, as the front on this car. That should tell you just how much more weight that car has and the braking power that is necessary to make it come to a stop. But all in all, I love the Hawk Performance. They are quieter, they are cleaner, they don't produce nearly as much dust, and they just, I can't fully describe other than the fact that you feel the braking power happening, and it's amazing. I do want to mention as well right here that when it's time to change your brake pads, it's also a good time to change your brake fluid. I don't have to on my car because, well, it's already had a brake fluid flush done to it. It was done before I got the car, so there's still a lot of good mileage left in that particular fluid, so I'm not gonna waste the money, spend $90 and get, you know, new fluid and spend another $100 to have someone properly flush it, because I mean, that's your brake fluid. You don't want to mess with that. You want to make sure that's done right. But all in all, when it's time to change your brake pads, look into changing your brake fluid, because sometimes that might be just the better option for you to do as well. It all depends on your circumstances, honestly. And I will say, when you've changed your brake pads and you go to drive on it the first time, don't take off like a rabbit from a foxhole. You don't want to do that, because your brakes need to, your pistons, the pressure needs to get reset, re-equalized, and usually that just takes probably a good 10 pushes of the brake pedal while the car is running, just so that fluid goes back to where it needs to go to, because when you push the piston back in to put the new pads in, all that pressure needs to be reset. So like when I first put my foot down, my foot pretty much went straight to the floor, and it stayed there for a second, and then it slowly rose back up because everything started to work again, and now it works completely fine. It works like it should, like it normally would. So it's just something to keep in mind. It's something to remember, that when you change your brake pads, don't drive normally immediately. Just pump the brakes a few times, make sure that things are good, make sure that things are copacetic before you start driving and setting the brakes. Now when it's time to set your brakes, with this particular brake pad setup, they recommend 4 to 6 times of stopping from 20 with moderate, and then about 4 times stopping from 40 pretty hard. That's what I did, and it's set pretty well. And also making sure that the shims are facing the right direction helps a lot, because like I said, they put them in there upside down. The logic behind that still befuddles me, and I still can't figure it out to this day why they did that. And I did those brakes over a week ago. So yeah, make sure you put the shims in right, and make sure you brake in your brakes right, because you don't brake them in right, you could have uneven brake wear or sometimes uneven braking, which could cause what I call brake steering, where you step on the brakes and instead of it going the correct way, it starts to move when you put the brakes in. So if I were to let go of the steering wheel right now, step on the brakes, it might lean to one side because one side's braking harder than the other. With all that said, I'm going to end the video here. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this was helpful for some of you guys, especially if you're looking at getting new pads for your car. Again, it's an upgrade that I feel like should happen before you start getting power, because then you know for a fact that when you get the power, you can stop the power when necessary. But thanks again for tuning in. Like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications if you haven't already. And happy 4th of July. And as always, thanks for watching. God bless you guys. And we'll see you on another episode of Car Rant. God bless and peace.